Hello and welcome. This is We Make Art, and I'm your host, Renaissance woman and founder of Elemental Alchemy, Sarah Rockwood. And today, I want to talk about a fear that so many artists have, myself included, that if we rest, if we take time off, our art will disappear. That if we take the nap, cancel the plan, close the laptop, or let ourselves be still, something essential will slip away. Our ideas will evaporate. Our discipline will dissolve. Our dream will lose interest in us. And underneath all of that, in sort of a Dante's 7 levels of hell kind of thing, is a very old fear, a primal fear, that if I stop, I won't be able to start again. And that fear is real, especially if you have lived through burnout or chronic illness or injury. If you have had seasons where your body made the decision for you and suddenly you could not show up the way you once did, it can be really scary. Because when rest has not been a choice, it becomes tangled with grief. And many of us are not choosing rest to begin with. So there's a lot tangled in it. It starts to feel like grief, and it can point to something that feels almost like proof that something has gone wrong. So when someone says to you, rest is important, like I'm doing right now, you might hear something much heavier. You might hear give up, fall behind, disappear, or you're never going to succeed. And for an artist, that is terrifying. Because art is not just something you do. It is how you know yourself. It is how you metabolize the world. It is how you speak when ordinary language is too small. It is how you remember that you are alive. So of course you're afraid of anything that feels like taking a step away from the work. But what if rest is not where your art goes to die? What if rest is one of the places where art gathers itself? What if rest is part of the creative ecosystem? This is what I've been grappling with myself in my own life. And if you're watching the video, of course, as soon as I start to get to the personal, I start twitching, start touching the hair, I start moving a bit more than usual. But yes, this is something I grapple with in my own practice, in my own day-to-day life, because we live in a culture that treats rest like a reward. Finish the work, then you can rest. Earn enough money, then you can rest. Prove you're worthy, then you can rest. But the body doesn't work that way. The creative spirit doesn't work that way. You know, I've come to the conclusion that you cannot keep drawing from a well you never replenish. I cannot keep asking my voice, my artistic work, to rise from a body that is running on fumes. And I've seen this in my own life, that at first the body will whisper, then it will speak, then it will shout. And many of us only listen when the shout becomes impossible to ignore. And it's devastating, but it's also a doorway. Because rest asks us a big question. Can you trust your artistry when there is nothing visible to show? I feel like I'm going to be grappling with that one my whole life. But I know that when an artist learns to rest without shame, something profound begins to shift. The work stops being extracted from the body and starts being offered through the body. And that is a very different relationship. Rest is not simply sleep, though sleep matters deeply. Rest is also the moment you stop arguing with your capacity. It is the moment you tell the truth about how tired you are. It is the moment you choose not to perform being okay. It is the moment you stop forcing your art to prove that you are healing, worthy, talented, serious. Sometimes rest looks like going to bed earlier. Sometimes it looks like lying on the floor with one hand on your heart. Sometimes it looks like canceling the thing you said yes to when you already knew you were overextended. And sometimes it looks like letting yourself stare out the window without turning the moment into content. And I know all that sounds simple, but as we know, simple does not mean easy. For high capacity women, rest can be one of the most confronting practices of all. Because when you stop overworking and take the time to sit with yourself, you start to feel what's been brewing underneath the productivity. And maybe it's resentment, grief, longing, an ache in your chest, a fear you were outrunning, or the truth that you have been giving your best energy to everyone but yourself. And that is why rest can feel so threatening. Not because nothing happens there, but because something does. In rest, the body begins to tell the truth. And the truth may ask something of you. But on the other side of that honesty is a more sustainable, creative life. Not one built on adrenaline or panic or waiting until you're so burned out that the only way your body can protect you is to just shut down completely. I have been there many times, many times. We get to build a creative life with room to breathe, with a natural rhythm, a creative life that trusts quiet seasons as much as visible ones. Because your art needs you alive, present, soft enough to receive, grounded enough to tell the truth. So if you are in a tired season, if life feels truly exhausting, I offer you this. You are not lazy and you are not failing. But it is time you ask yourself 2 questions. Where did I learn that rest had to be earned? And is that actually true? And okay, I'm now thinking it's probably 3 questions. And what would my life look like if I treated rest as part of my creative practice? That is where creative wellness begins. By listening to the whispers and the wisdom that your body carries. Because rest is not where your art goes to die. Rest is where your art learns it is safe to come home. Thank you for being here. If what I've said today stirred something in you, check out the show notes. You'll find links to resources there. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. And I'll talk to you later.